Colorado Mountain Living. We had yet another weather adventure this weekend. High winds caused major power outages in our mountain community, and we were among those affected. We had the strongest winds. I think they clocked around 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts up at the mountain, and people around our mountain community were reporting gusts regularly of 50 miles an hour, and at our house, our weather station was reporting about constant 30-mile-an-hour winds, sometimes with a little bit higher gusts up to 35. We didn't really capture anything higher than that, but needless to say, there was widespread damage, trees downed, power lines down, and it was about noon yesterday when we lost power. Normally it flickers off. I mean, we have high wind storms on a regular basis, but this time it was a little much stronger, and it lasted all day. Sometimes we have those high winds in the evenings, 20-30 mile an hour winds with some higher gusts, but this was a much longer lasting, and it definitely took its toll. So I'll give you a little walkthrough of how our weekend went, starting at about noon with the power out. We just kind of kept things as normal. You know, the one thing that didn't happen over the weekend was it really slowed down our progress on working on the vanity in the bathroom area. So, you know, on Saturday morning, we did our normal thing, got up and went to the gym and kind of had a relaxed breakfast, came back, and, you know, TV was on, and then suddenly power was out. And that was right about noon. So, you know, instead of getting ready to start doing work, we had to throw those plans out the door. So we ended up doing some other things like straightening up and some non-power requiring activities like working on some of the doors that Brian got. So let me tell you guys and fill you in on our weekend up to now, Sunday evening, and let me know what you guys think. Da 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 da. Bum ba da bum. Ooh, things are going to be changing.
Yeah, fancy door.
Fancy door. Whoop whoop whoop. Okay, and there we got 3 doors. 1, 2, and the third back there. So our closet's in the bathroom. Toilet's gonna get doors on this weekend. We just came back from the gym. It got really windy outside. It's like blowing 30 miles an hour, and we could not make it up the driveway. Some whiteout conditions on the road and causing mega drifting snow. Our driveway was completely full of snow drifts when we came back from the gym. Even 4-wheel drive could not make it up the driveway this time. Got no power.
No power.
So we're reduced to
Non-powered tasks.
non-powered tasks. Yep. Hey, look at that cool door. It's gonna look even cooler with polyurethane on it.
Yeah.
Look at the wind calm down a little bit.
It kind of comes and goes.
You can actually see. It was like a whiteout when we came home this morning. You think you want to? Go out and see.
What?
Yeah, you don't want to go out? Go out. Go pee. Go on. Yeah. We're going into our 3rd hour with no power. What's it come down to? Hot chocolate with booze. The only booze
We got this much left.
this much left from coconut liquor. That's how sad it is around here.
It's,
sad state of affairs.
21% alcohol.
21%, yeah. It's not nearly enough to get us through this storm.
Nope. Amy doesn't want to go to the store.
Yeah.
Because she's going to walk to her car.
Yeah, gotta walk to my car way down there.
It's 100 yards away.
Yeah. 25-mile-an-hour gust recently. 35-mile-an-hour peak wind in the last hour. 13 degrees and a -7 wind chill. That's -7 Fahrenheit, folks. Freezing out there. Ain't nobody going outside today. Well, we had our fingers crossed, but by the time evening came, we had to hunt for candles, and still no power. Had to keep ourselves busy, and that required taking out some coloring books and some board games and trying to entertain ourselves through the evening because, yeah, no power still. Well, folks, the power's still out. I got my headlamp on here, trying to find candles around the house, and found some. So some of these are fast burners. These probably won't last too long. I do have these really cool oil lamps, though. I picked some of these up at a craft show. Doesn't look too bright because I'm shining my headlamp on it. But I do have another one at the kitchen table, which is lighting up pretty nicely. Turn my head away. So that's giving off a lot of light. Little what do you call it? Pottery oil lamp there. Luckily we have the gas stove, so we got ways to cook food. Cooking up some turkey burgers here. So that's good for us. A little bit of hot chocolate in that pan. I'm gonna heat up some soup in a minute. Got some butternut squash soup I made. So that's how we're keeping busy. And I've got some coloring books for later. But yeah, that's the scoop here. We're nice and toasty. Got our heat going on our little gas stove. Really toasty in the house right now. Brian's downstairs in the basement working. We spent the last couple hours, or last hour or so, down here reorganizing space, moving lumber around, piles of lumber, and reorganizing. Can't really see too well because there's no light. Still betting on when the power's gonna... Oh, there's Brian over here. He's doing something on the shelf. Okay. So we got headlamps to see what we're doing, but still trying to guess when the power's coming back on. I'm guessing after we go to bed. It's been out since about noon, so anyway, we'll see how this goes. Still really, really windy outside, and it's not quitting anytime soon. It's supposed to be windy again tomorrow. Well, morning time, still no power. Brian is loading up everything in the fridge. We're gonna stick it outside. We thought it would magically come on overnight. No magic happening. Looks like wind's slowing down. I think we are only at 7 miles an hour. Brian's got some snow melting here. Thank God we got snow outside. We can have water, put it in our toilet and things. Give it to the dog. Not that long ago, it was 26 mile an hour gust, but within the last hour, but really slowing down right now. 21 degrees. It's warmer than it was yesterday. Been toasty all night with our fire. Not really suffering here. Well, this was one job that was done yesterday, was all the doors getting the polyurethane on them. Hard to see there. But what we did when the power was out, we actually rearranged the whole garage. I mean, the whole basement. So cleared out a bunch of storage and moved it down to the far side. Moved a bunch of stuff out of the way. Try to line up our construction supplies right here. We just cleared out a lot of the entryway, which was getting crowded. So curious about how the basement's been holding on to the heat. Luckily this thermostat's got battery power, so holding a temperature of 61 down here. That's just the residual radiant heat out of the floor, which is not getting fed right now. But sun coming in the doors might warm things up a little bit. But we'll see. But I think it was set at 70. So it was set at 70, so we lost about 9 degrees in almost 24 hours. Brian's getting geared up to get on the tractor. See if he can plow away some of those cement-thick snow drifts in the driveway. Yeah, we gotta free my car. Doesn't look like it's buried, but it's not really that bad down there. It's just the 2-foot snow drifts on the hill, which made it hard to overcome getting back to the house. Down there on the corner where my car is, you can see there's a couple little drifts right next to it there. But then it goes all the way up the driveway. The one by the well, where Brian's truck is, look at the size of that drift. That's over 2 feet tall, 3 feet tall. So Brian went down to the neighbor's house last night because they're not home. So he offered to turn their heat on there. They have a little gas stove like us.
Yeah, almost the exact same one.
Yeah.
No thermostats. I'll have to go check on theirs today.
Mm-hmm. There's our groceries. Look at the snowdrift right in front of the steps there. Well, he's got the tractor fired up. I think he started his truck too to maybe charge his phone. That's how we're keeping some semblance of activity here. Luckily, even though the power's out, we still have access to our cell phone tower, which is just a mile down the road. I did hear another cell phone tower got knocked out though. So people with T-Mobile are out of luck. But I want to show you guys what it looks like with all this wind here. So only one step available on at the beginning of the entrance of the house here. And these snow dunes are like really heavy duty. Like I think I could stand on this without sinking. Yeah, I'm like over a foot in the air and not breaking through this crust. That's how dense this snow is. Okay, that's probably at least 20 inches right there. And I can walk right on 20-inch snow without falling through. So let's take a look. The wind has calmed down quite a bit. Check out this snow dune. So we've got some ground here. You see where it's been blowing. Someone got a stick. Yeah, business as usual for Viggo. So some bare dirt right around here. You can see the tip of the well cap. And then looks like from the well it started to form a snow dune. Looks like Brian's tire of his truck was parked right here. And first major dune right here, snow dune. Snow drift. It's kind of pretty looking. Step over this one. Here's the other major one right here. This one, gotta get this one out of the way. That one looks like it could be almost, well, 2 feet tall. Right there. When Viggo walks next to it, you can see how deep it is. Oh yeah, someone's wild. Someone's gonna pick up all the dead sticks. Wow. Okay. Some more down there, so we've got to plow that one out. Most curious about the one at the top of the driveway where my car got stuck. And I'm walking on top of these with ease, pretty much. Not sinking into the snow. Very dense, very difficult to plow. So the top corner of the driveway stayed pretty clear. I guess the snow just kept blowing right through right here. And normally we would have, it's a little slippery, kind of icy. The sun melts a lot of this snow and it's ice underneath. Look at this cool snowdrift. Pretty scaled looking. That's where my car got stuck yesterday. So a lot of it looks like it's kind of cleared out. Look at the tire tracks, they're elevated. So not as deep as it has been, but anyway, still a lot to clear out. You know, I'm halfway tempted to go get my car right now and drive up here, but I don't think I'd be able to make it past the snow drifts up here. Have to wait for Brian to get through with the tractor. A little bit of drifts down at the bottom of the driveway. And you can see around my car, it's definitely drifted all around it. I thought about driving up, but the snow right here, the hill's not bad, but the snow that's right here is a little bit too deep. And I think I'd kind of not be able to get past this little section. It's kind of crusty and probably 10 inches deep right here, so gonna just wait for Brian. Hope those bees are staying warm. Really thick right there. He's going to take him a few tries to budge that snowdrift. Slowing right down when he gets to the dense pile of it. And you can probably tell by the plow that it's not functioning optimally. Brian still has to hook up the hydraulics appropriately to the plow. So he's just relying on chains and springs to point his plow the direction that he wants to go in. So that's definitely limiting the ability that he can clear the snow. He's also finding that it's hard to get the snow out of the way. I guess that's just plowing, the nature of plowing, but he's actually considering putting the bucket on because he wants to just be able to pick up the snow and move it. It's just so thick and heavy. So he's trying to put it into a pile and then just scoop it up to get it out of the way. So I think he's going to be switching over to the bucket next. But definitely really thick stuff right here. A little bit different than spring snow, which tends to be more wet. This is just really dry, dense snow, and a lot of it. You need the bucket? The bucket would be easier to move all the snow. Yeah. But the bucket, unfortunately, is way up here. Yeah. So I guess it wasn't too hard of a job to swap out the plow for the bucket. I thought it was going to be a lot harder to get the tractor up to where the bucket is, but he just plowed out a little bit of room and the tractor was able to climb right up that little hill right there. And luckily he didn't have to go into snow too deep to retrieve the bucket. So anyway, that made it a lot easier to start moving snow around more seriously. Well, Brian's doing a pretty good job clearing the snow there. He was able to push my car ahead and kind of work on clearing out that corner. Looks like the bucket's working well for moving snow. One problem you got with a bucket, though, in dense snow is that it tends to stay in the bucket. So when you go to dump your bucket, half of the snow comes out and half of it stays in the bucket. So that's the only real drawback, but it does a little bit better. You can pick up the snow and kind of put it into a different spot. So that's what he was hoping for, at least. How nice is that to see? 12:05 when the power went out yesterday. Just barely came back on. Not quite 24 hours, but definitely the longest we've been without power in a long time. So what you do when the power comes back on is use the opportunity to bake some sugar cookies. These are date-filled cookies. If anyone's ever had those, let me know. They're delicious. And some plain sugar cookies over here. I ran out of date filling. I only had room for 2 more. I'm going to bake some potatoes in the oven. Had a chance to do the dishes. And a little bit of decorating for Christmas. But since we don't really have room for a tree, I ended up going with this whole theme. Putting up decorations on our railing up there. And behind the stove, hanging up some more right there. So, a lot of Christmas spirit today after the power came back on. Got in the holiday mood. So as you can tell, it was definitely a little bit more than what we bargained for as far as dealing with power outages. Now, I've lived in I've lived through power outages longer than 24 hours. You know, we've had one, actually it was just a few years ago up in Vermont when we were on vacation at my parents' house. We had a really big ice storm come through, and I think the power was out for over a day. It was maybe like a day and a half, but luckily we had a generator for backup power. Now, that could have been a solution for us, but our generator hoses are pretty deteriorated from being outside for a couple of years. So unfortunately, not having that in place was made it a little bit more difficult to have everything that we need. I'm sure that we can have that in place before that kind of power outage happens next time. We can have the house hooked up so we have nice backup generator power. There were certainly people in our community that didn't have any kind of backup power. They didn't have a wood stove. They were completely reliant on electric, and you know, they were dealing with frigid cold. They were wrapped up in quilts and not really able to get out to you know, a comfortable environment. And because we had such a whiteout conditions on the way during the day, you know, we had snow and all of that, it just made it really irresponsible to have the idea of just leaving the house. We really couldn't leave the house. We had snow drifts and everything, so like you saw in the video, my car couldn't get up the hill, so it was kept us really stuck in the house. We didn't really want to go out in the weather. Besides, you know, Brian reported today that he saw probably, when he went to town to the hardware store, he saw 50 trees down because it was such a high wind. So probably just dangerous to be out of the house with winds like that and trees coming down. So glad that we stayed in. But yeah, definitely adventure. It's part of mountain living when you're on this side of Colorado, the Continental Divide, because the way that the winds come over the top of the ridge, I guess, is affects those, it creates those high winds. And it's just part of life up here. So wanted to fill you guys in on some of that and just kind of share our experience. We're happy that we've had, you know, the gas stove, and we are happy that, you know, we were perfectly comfortable. Just we didn't have, you know, all of the amenities at our fingertips, which it was just fine. We could live without for 24 hours. So anyway, guys, that's a quick little update. And on the next video, I'm going to show you what Brian has been able to get started as far as the Vanity is concerned. He was able to get started today on some of the work. Now that we got our power back halfway through the day, but I'll post a little bit of a clip at the end to show you what he is working on for the Vanity and update you at in the next video. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Update on the tendons here. Brian's been working on with a little bit of chisel action. You can see how he's putting these together. Let's go see what he's doing outside. Using the table saw to sort of carve away at the ends there to make the tendons. Pretty cool.
Oh!
Wow, cold. Cool little technique though. Yeah.